Huh? Welcome to the 5 Reasons Postgame Show, brought to you by the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I'm your host, Jonathan. On my right, we have the main man, fucking Royal.
Oh.
We got Ricky, and then we got Alana. Sorry about that. How you doing, guys? I'm just pissed how we.
No, I feel fine.
This game.
I mean,
you feel fine?
The game was closer than the final. Well, the final score was. I don't think it tells the whole story, but if you look at the box score in terms of the quarter by quarter breakdown, then it kind of makes sense. We pretty much ran out of gas. At this point, I'm not really, I'm not really too high or too low based on these wins and losses. We are who we are at the moment. We have 2/3 of our guys missing, so I'm not gonna stress over it.
Yeah, so we had a pretty good game until the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? We kept it close. It was really mostly a combination of Bam and Goran just trying to keep us in the game. And in the fourth quarter, the Nets' talent just kind of overpowered us. We were obviously missing Hero and Butler in that fourth quarter. Royal, talk to me. How did you feel? What happened in that fourth quarter?
Pretty much what happened is, like you explained, their stars came to play. Throughout the whole game, we were able to manage James Harden, and then in that fourth quarter, he kind of exploded. Same with KD towards the end of the third, where he started bombing all those threes. It's only so many times that you can overachieve and still be competitive. So I think we played well throughout the game. You would have liked to get the win, but I mean, and at a point you thought we could get that win, but after a while it's just like, fuck it. This is what it is at this point. Like, that's what this team is. Like, you're gonna get close, but you might not get over that hump.
Yeah, it was. We did as much as we can with what we had. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody tried to max out. Even KZ got a significant amount of minutes. Ricky, KZ's your guy. What did you see from him today?
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, he had his moments. There's only so much you can do when you're guarding James Harden, who is a cheat code when it comes to getting to the line. And I'm not saying that because he cheats. It's hard to really put anyone in front of him because you can defend him perfectly, and then he'll toss his head back, and the ref will eat it up, and then next thing you know, he's at the line shooting one of his league-leading free throws.
KZ, that would have been good for Miami tonight.
It would, but the thing is with KZ, I think, I feel like the more reps he gets, the more he understands the defense, and the more time he gets with the players that are going to actually be playing big minutes for this team, I think the better he'll get. Future's still bright for him. I would say it's an even game, mediocre for him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he looked good for him, as well as, he started off really well. The first quarter, he locked down Harden 3 times. He locked down KD. He locked down Kyrie. So I think we really saw a good showcase of what KZ can be defensively in that first quarter. It was nice for him to get those reps, especially against those star players coming against us. Now, Alana, do you feel like there was anything we could have done to actually get this win? Or do you feel like the star players were just too much for the other team?
Yeah, I think between that and just our guys being gassed, Goran could honestly barely get up and down the floor by the midway through the fourth. So I think they're doing what they can. We're clearly shorthanded. We're playing a lot of games in a short amount of time. And then if you take that coupled with who we're going up against, there's no such thing to me as a good loss, but I did see things I liked in this game. And I don't know, it gives me a little bit of hope for when the guys come back. The question just is, will we ever actually have a full roster? And if we do, for how long is that going to last?
Right. Especially with COVID tracing right now, we don't know, when everybody's coming back. It's looking like Jimmy's going to come back next week, or Avery Bradley's going to come out maybe a little bit after that. So right now we are missing a lot of people, but like you said, there are some good points from it. Royal, Bam Adebayo, his game was another offensive showcase from getting the block on one end and going to get the rebound and dunking it off of Duncan Robinson miss, or getting that 3-point shot, falling away from the 3-point line is probably his best buzzer beater of his young career. What did you like from what you saw from Bam tonight?
Well, you like that he's taking ownership of the role that he's been forced into because of the situation. So he knows he's our best player, and now he's starting to act like he's our best player. And the one thing that you would hope is that he can carry that over to when everybody comes back. But real quickly, what about the people who are there, like Duncan and Kelly? Like, where the fuck were they tonight? Like, those
Well,
are the
Kelly was
questions.
there. He was chucking them. Unfortunately, it would have been better for everyone if he wasn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, KO got up 7 shots, and Duncan got up 10 shots, and both of them only hit one of them. And so those are big. But I mean, to get back to your question, Bam is taking that leap. You just want to see him continue to grow in that role, because as we've seen these past 2 games against one of the better teams in the league, he is capable. And so that's all. I was happy to see that.
Yeah, for sure. Ricky, do you think when the players that are really heavy on the offensive load, like Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero, come back, do you think we're going to see the same Bam, or do you think he's going to take a step back and kind of become the facilitator like he was before? What do you think he's going to do going forward?
I think we're going to see the same kind of Bam that we've been seeing the last 2 games, because I think one of the things that I love about Jimmy Butler is that he's not the kind of guy that will show up and then demand his slice of the pie. If he shows up on a team and sees that Joel Embiid is averaging 20 and 15, or Ben Simmons is averaging, let's see, he doesn't shoot, so I don't know, 9 assists a game or something like that. He's going to figure out a way to make an impact on the game without stepping on their toes necessarily. He will want Bam to continue to shoot that ball. The same thing he's been saying to Duncan Robinson. Look, you better shoot that. We're giving you the ball to shoot it, and I'm sure he's probably roasted him like, yeah, you can't do anything else well, but whatever. It's important. Like, look, Duncan Robinson shot, like Royal said, he shot 10 times tonight. He was 1 for 10. At the moment right now, this Heat team, even without all those other guys, if Duncan were closer to 7 of 10, we probably would have been really, really close, if not winning that game. That tells you
about 18
right
more
now,
points for Duncan.
Well, hey, go figure, right? Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm saying, if he's able to do that without Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, and some of these other guys, then that bodes well for this team at the very least. So I think, yeah, it's and with regards to KO, look, I think we said this. I think 2 games ago. 2 games ago was, I think, the game that he had kind of like that near triple double, that like all around performance. We're going to get that every 3 games. We're not going to get that every night from him. So once we get our other guys back, he'll be able to not necessarily be a every night type of player, and we'll still be okay, because that's kind of what you expect out of certain role players anyways.
Yeah, you don't expect him to be a consistent guy. And getting back to your point about Jimmy Butler, it was something that we as Heat fans harped on last year, that he wasn't being aggressive enough. You know what I mean? But it's good that he knows that he's able to come in and just kind of maybe fit on the side. He's a really good B superstar, just kind of like how Wade was when LeBron came in. That's something that Jimmy Butler is really good at doing back. He's kind of taking that back seat and kind of, allowing the next person to flourish, just kind of how Wade did with LeBron in that second year when we were able to get that championship. But getting back to Duncan Robinson, Alana, do you feel like it's a problem that if Duncan Robinson is not shooting the ball, that there's not another impact that he makes on the game?
Yes and no. I think I touched upon this in another show too, that I don't think you can really survive on this team, at least long term, without picking up something on defense. It doesn't have to be an all around like defensive powerhouse, but it has to be enough to, if you're not hitting those shots, something has to give. On the other hand, I feel like these kind of nights from him are going to be rare. I don't know if that's just me like having blind faith in him, but I don't feel like this is going to be an issue moving forward. I have a feeling that most of his nights are going to be better shooting wise, but I do think he has to develop a little bit more defensively, because otherwise, he is kind of a liability if he's not hitting it. I also think, though, again, this becomes worse when we don't have other guys to kind of backfill, because if he's having a poor night and we can replace him with someone, then it's a little bit less risky. But right now, that's just not possible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, nobody can really replace Duncan Robinson. He's a top 3 shooter in the league. You know what I mean? And even if he's not hitting the shots, he's taking away and he's taking space. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He has that gravity that takes away from everybody else. But getting onto the defense overall, in the first half, the Nets shot, I think, 2 of 17 or 3 of 17 from 3, but we were seeming to allow almost everything at the rim. Mm-hmm. Royal, what do you think was the issue? Do you feel like we were just trying to overcommit on the shooters, or do you feel like we were just caught in between that inside space and just giving too much everything in the inside? Because DeAndre Jordan looked like prime DeAndre Jordan tonight.
Yeah, oh no, I think that every perimeter defender that we send on the floor sucks ass at defending. That's the long and short of it. We get Jimmy Butler back, we get Avery Bradley back, then we're able to contain the ball a little bit better. But without those two, then it's just turnstiles like Goran Dragic and Kendrick Nunn at the point of attack, and then you have to use people like Andre Iguodala and KZ to kind of like fill those gaps, but they can't guard for two people. And so, I mean, it's just a lack of, like people say, foot speed. I'm awfully quiet. It's okay. It's a lack of foot speed, and it's
I think that guy has us confused.
who between me and you. I mean, it's the black guy thing, but it's a lack of foot speed, lack of overall talent defensively, and I think once we get our guys back, then that'll improve. But I mean, they're just not good defenders, bro. That's the long and short of it.
Yeah,
you know what? You know what I'm
ahead.
reminded of? I'm reminded of that defensive stretch. I think it was against the New Orleans Pelicans a couple of weeks back. I think that might have been Christmas or around Christmas, when we looked like one of those serious teams that could make a deep run. And that happened when Avery Bradley and Andre Iguodala when they were on the floor. Iggy was on the floor tonight. Avery Bradley wasn't, because he's recovering from COVID. There are going to be stretches when we need defenders out there to kind of lock down the other team. And the thing is, we haven't had that. Those guys have been out essentially, and we haven't been able to develop some sort of like a defensive rhythm. I mean, just the other game, the Nets dropped, I think, close to 130 points. That's not Heat basketball. It never has been Heat basketball. I mean, the closest thing to that was when I think it was during the 2013-2014 season, when the Heat were starting Rashard Lewis at power forward next to Bosh, and we were giving up a lot of points, and Spo was like, you know what? No, this isn't how we play. We're struggling in some of these games. We're getting some production from Rashard, but this ain't it. He eventually went back to the bench. Shane Battier eventually started playing. He started again, and then we started to see that Heat team that was winning all those titles. So I think once we get some of those back, we'll be able to compete a lot better in these games. But then again, of course, we have to understand that this is an aberration. The Brooklyn Nets, as terrible as they are on defense, they're potentially the most explosive offensive team, if not history, at least in the NBA right now. So, I mean, that's also something to keep in mind.
Yeah, the aberration is that Brooklyn's not going to shoot 29% three-pointer when we play them. That's the aberration. And I think, Ricky, you're a very optimistic guy. I'm not like you. I look at it for what it is. It's like we're expecting everything to be all hunky-dory when Jimmy gets back. And it's like, when Jimmy gets back, we're going to have so much ground to make up from these games that we continuously losing. And then it's going to be, how does Jimmy play next to this new aggressive Bam? How do they fit? That's not a seamless transition, no matter how much Jimmy is comfortable deferring, because we're going to need Jimmy in certain spots, and they have to find out when those moments are. So I believe that this team has a lot of growth to do, and losing these games, or this many games, like, people can try and blow it off all they want, but that shit is serious, and it's starting to creep up my worry meter about how often we're losing games like this.
Yeah, I mean, right now, looking at it, we're 12th or 13th in the Eastern Conference.
13th, I think, yeah.
Yeah, 13th right now in the Eastern Conference. And like Royal said, even though we're having some growing moments from these games, we can't lose too many more of these games and expect to just play from behind and try to make it in the playoffs. Alana, do you feel like this is something that we should be worried about? Is that we're dropping too many games while trying to grow? Or do you feel like these are good growing moments that we're having?
No, I think we should be worried, and I don't even think it's necessarily just for the right now, because, to be honest, there's nothing we can do about it. Like, we can gripe all we want that we don't have all our guys, but it is what it is. So we might as well, see KZ develop. We might as well, have someone like Mo try to find, get their footing if he wasn't injured. But I think, to Roll's point, the problem is going to be when the guys start getting back. It's going to take time for them to build chemistry back up with the guys. Bam looks like a completely different player right now. Spo, once again, has to go back and figure out rotations. And to be honest, do we really think that this is the only time that, a health problem is going to creep up during the season? Probably not. So it's not even about the right now, because the right now we're in the middle of it. So we might as well make the best of it, but it's kind of moving forward. I think not winning these games, maybe not necessarily against the Nets, because again, we're up against what we're up against, but some of the other losses we've had, it's going to be really tough to come back from all that.
Yeah,
I think
go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that our producer put up the standings right now, because look, I know that we are struggling right now. We're 6-9? That's before tonight, right? Are we 6-10 now?
Yeah, we're number 13 in the East.
Okay, well, yeah, that I get. Well, yeah, ultimately, I suppose that's a number that matters. But here's the thing. I mean, I'm looking at these teams right now. Look, I love the Knicks. I was born in New York. I was raised there. They were the first team I loved, right? But they're not making the playoffs this season. I don't care who's coaching them. The Cavs are not going to stay where they're at right now. So that's already two teams that are going to fall out. We're going to eventually leapfrog the Nuggets. Oh, I'm sorry, not the Nuggets, the Hornets. The Hornets are in a rebuilding situation right now, and I know they got Gordon Hayward, but no, they don't have enough to seriously compete. The Magic, I think, will be there. The Hawks are probably going to be another team that won't last too long. They're dealing with chemistry issues and locker room issues right now. I don't see them lasting. Now, everybody from the Sixers, Bucks, Celtics, Pacers, and Nets, okay, they'll be there. But those last three spots, Miami, Orlando, and Toronto, I still see us as a playoff team. This is one of the reasons why I have no reason to panic. Those other teams beneath us, they didn't really improve all that much either, even though the teams above us did in a way. So yeah, I think it is what it is. I mean, I think I mentioned this in the pregame. Get us in the bubble, in a bubble type situation where there's no travel, all things are essentially equal, and as long as we're in the playoffs, we'll be competing. That can be optimistic. That can be considered optimistic, but here's the thing: it's also realistic because based on what we saw last season. So
yeah, but my view can also be viewed as realistic because now we have to jump up. We have to pass 5 other teams to get into the damn playoffs. Like, we're talking about getting into the playoffs. The road to getting to the playoffs is equally as important as where we are in the standings. Look, I understand the circumstances that we have. Every team around the league is facing circumstances. What worries me the most is that we're not overcoming these circumstances at all. Like, we're not picking up any games. Like, it's not like it's just all I'm hearing is be patient. Wait till Jimmy comes back. All of our guys are out. Okay, but we can win a game here and there. And then it's like sometimes you're in a game, you're competitive in that game, and you can't get over the hump because of shit like the fourth quarter lapses. Like, you know, I understand what you guys are saying. Like, I get it. We're a better team than we're showing right now. But you are what your record says you are. Right now, we're the 13th seed team in the Eastern Conference.
And sure, I think we should have sat Tyler for longer. I think that there was that one game, like 3 or 4 games ago, where if we would have just marked him as injured, we wouldn't have continued forward. And I understand that's not necessarily the Heat way because we are a grinded out kind of team and we don't really want to be missing games. But it's like at this point, looking back at that might have been the difference maker instead of continuing forward with like a horrendously hobbled team.
Have we lost? Yeah, sure. We lost a couple of games versus Detroit that I expected us to win. This game was a winnable game in my eyes when we got to the fourth quarter. Like, this is a game where we were competitive. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily believe that we would win either of the Brooklyn games, but those 2 games against Washington was disappointing. The games against Detroit, those are games that I thought that we should have been able to take even with the circumstances. Those are the worst teams in the league. And so if we can't pick up those games, then we maybe need to do some introspection.
Well, the thing is with that is I think, you know, it said that I think it was Pat Riley or even Spoelstra or maybe even Coach Ron, water finds its level. And right now, things aren't great. I mean, if we look at the 2 games that we just lost, we lost to the Brooklyn Nets, who already were fixing to be a top 3 team in the East once Kyrie and KD were healthy. The Sixers, I mean, that's Sixers, the first loss where we were up 5 with a few seconds left in the game, that one hurt. The Pistons won, that one hurt. We lost to Milwaukee, but then beat them on the second night. Same thing happened with, I think, Boston. You know, I mean, I can't really, I'm looking at some of these games that we've played already, and based on who we've lost to and based on who we've beaten, it's been pleasant, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting a win against Philly on that second night. You know, I feel like this is a very familiar theme after a loss where, there's no, we're going to be in trouble. Nothing's going to work out. But look, I mean, again, this is a marathon, not a sprint. We're going to make the playoffs. I'm willing to call that now. We're not a top 3 team right now. We weren't when we entered the season, and losses like this, it is what it is. I think I saw a comment where Jason Tatum is going to be missing some time due to health and safety protocols. That might help. That might hurt the Celtics, but at the same time, they also have a couple other guys. So yeah, look, water finds its level, and
I bet you they won't lose. I bet you they won't lose to the Pistons without Jason Tatum.
Well, hey, they might be a better matchup for the Pistons. They probably might. We'll see. We'll have to watch.
We're talking about matching up with the Pistons, Ricky. Like that's what's killing me, bro. Like
any team can win. Sorry. Any team can win on any given night. I'm
gonna let Jonathan
this is professional basketball league. This is professional basketball league. That's just the way it is.
Honestly, to get to Royal's point, we've talked many post games about how even when we have a win, me and you specifically, that these aren't impressive wins, or these aren't wins that we can hang our head high on and walk around and be proud to be a Heat fan, or be proud that we got that win. We've had so many chances to beat up on little teams whilst we've had this problem, whilst we've had the contact tracing and everything like that. And getting to the comment, they've been missing Jason Tatum, and he's going to be gone for a little while, but those teams still make up the difference. Miami does not seem to make up the difference when we're missing our star players. And, of course, we're missing a couple of key guys right now. But, Royal, why do you feel like we should be really concerned going forward?
Well, it's like I said, like I can be objective. I'm not like Alana. I do believe that there are some good losses. Like I do value the way that we played in the games versus Brook, in both games, clean up until the third quarter of this last one. But the way that we are winning is not consistent with the way that we've been known to win. Like we are not playing, we're not defending to the level that we're capable of. We have a problem at the point of attack on defense, and we have a big issue rebounding. These are problems that don't have fixes that are on this roster, and even once we get our guys back, still might not be completely fixed. It's not panic as in I think we're one of the worst teams in the league, or we're not going to make the playoffs. I'm worried about what we're going to look like by the time we get to the playoffs because of the way that the team is playing now. We're not playing to our identity. And that to me is one of the biggest issues that I'm going to have with this team until I see it. Oh, I've been talking about a trade.
We've been talking about a trade since way a long time ago, since last year. Now, Ricky, we've go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, to add a little bit to Royal's point, we're trying so hard to win these games right now. We're having players like Goran and Iguodala play a large chunk of minutes. We saw Goran had 15 minutes in the first half, and coming out in the third quarter, he was the one that was basically carrying the offensive load, especially at the beginning of the second half. Do you feel like we're going to run these guys out? Because we've talked about it being a marathon. Are we going to run these guys out that are veteran guys before the playoff comes out? Because I don't know if we're going to see Goran play this high level for such a long time and not have him go out, especially over the last couple of years. He misses 2-3 weeks almost every year over the last couple of years. Do you feel like we're running our old guys out?
You see, the thing is, this is just the luck of the draw right now this season. I was watching the jump earlier this season, and based on the amount of games that the Washington Wizards have already missed due to health and safety protocols, they've probably already doomed themselves, even if they were to have a magical comeback in the mythical second half of the season, because some people got sick and ended up getting a whole bunch of people sick and all this other stuff. Right now, we have to play Goran in these games because guys like Jimmy and Hero are missing time. That's just the situation. That's just the cards we've been dealt. I am worried that we might run Iggy and Goran out of gas early in the season. We've been talking about this in previous pregame and postgame shows. And the thing is, it's just, look, unfortunately, in order for us to be competitive right now, based on the personnel that we have left, we have no choice but to play them. Unfortunately, that's where we're at. But, hopefully at some point we'll get everybody back and then make a stretch run and do our thing. But right now, that's just not how it is. I wish it were better. I wish we could, make a trade or something like that where, I don't know, a guy like Beal or whoever would just show up and then magically cure our problems. But unfortunately, I feel like if the Heat had the opportunity to make a deal like that, it would have happened already. And we've still got time, though. I think I saw a comment about, I think 5 games back of 8th with 56 games left. Look, yeah, I get it. I get it. I understand why people are frustrated right now, but yeah, if we don't have a choice but to play them right now, KZ's not completely, he's not Iggy yet, and Kendrick Nunn is just now rounding back into form. That's just the situation we're in.
Bro, the situation that we're in is that Goran Dragic played 33 minutes tonight and Andre Iguodala played 28. This is the third game in a row that Goran Dragic has played 30 plus minutes. He will be dog tired by the time Jimmy gets back.
You don't have a choice, though. I mean, what's the alternative?
Gabe Vincent or anything. It's like I understand why he's playing so many minutes, but it's like, come on, man. Like I'm just saying, like, to speak to the optimism. Like, are you guys still going to be as confident? Like when Goran's legs are dead, when Jimmy's come back and we don't have a bench, like what is it like? Like Jimmy and Tyler coming back are not the end all be all to solving every problem that we have on this team, and I just want to make sure that people understand that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think every reasonable Heat fan at least I hope every reasonable Heat fan understands that having Jimmy and Tyler back isn't the the final solution to Miami's problems, because right now, even with everybody healthy, we are in a situation where it's like, look, we still got to deal with the Phillies, the Milwaukees, the Bostons of this world, where play in the playoffs is going to be a different situation. Look, Gabe Vincent was a guy that I wanted to see much more playing time from, and we saw a bit of that. But here's the thing: there's a reason why he was in the G League last season, and we saw that once we started giving him more and more minutes. Now, in limited minutes as a backup point guard or a backup guard behind the guys that we brought in to actually compete, then maybe he'll be able to be properly harnessed. But right now, I mean, look, we don't have the guys right now. I wish it were better, but that's the realistic situation that we're in. But hey, look, it's one loss. We've got a couple games up, but you know what? Look, we'll see what happens.
It's 10 losses in 16 games. That's what it is.
Sure, the first 26 games of the season. Normally right now we'd have an idea of what this Heat team looks like, but in a regular season, we're not missing so many of these players for such an extended period of time. That's just the situation we're in. I mean, the Lakers are lucky. They don't have, they haven't missed LeBron, AD, and some of these other guys for extended period, for like a week and a half. The Nuggets haven't missed those guys like that. That's just a situation. We shouldn't, if I could go back in time, maybe I wouldn't have played against the Wizards that night, because it seems like a lot of these problems seems to be stemming from that, among other things. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of the Wizards,
what can we do next?
Speaking of the Wizards, I want to shout out DC Heat for the super chat. We appreciate that. With Royal bringing down the hope trafficking on the channel. But before we get rid of the hope trafficking, I'm going to do 1 minute of hope trafficking. We took a loss, but we still have to remember this was a team that we weren't even thinking about a championship until after 2021, because we were dying to get Giannis. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now we're in a position where we're, underachieving, but we still have a lot of guys that are out. We still have a lot of young guys. Gabe Vincent, as far as he's concerned, Duncan Robinson didn't look good his first year, but he was still taking those shots. So even though Gabe Vincent isn't making those shots yet, he's going to start to get a flow. He's taking those shots that we want him to take. Maybe not all of them, but we want him to take some of these shots and get comfortable. Because if he can become a little 6'3" Duncan Robinson who can also handle the ball, Gabe Vincent is going to be a problem. You know what I mean? He showed some flashes tonight where he was able to finish over the rim, and he was bodying people and getting close to the rim. So we have a lot of young talent in this type pipeline. We are afflicted by the COVID thing, but hopefully it's something we can either figure out. And once we have Jimmy back, we can keep him. Once we have Goran back, we can keep him. And then we can, or not Goran, Hero back, we can keep him. And then we can tone down Goran and Iguodala and play some of the young guys like KZ. I feel like Precious hasn't been playing quite as much. I don't know if that's a Bam thing, but I feel like he's been a little bit, quiet, except for maybe a couple pick and rolls. But I want to see a little more from Precious. But we have a lot of young guys. It's still early in the season. We're only half a game out of the 8th seed. You know what I mean? So we're really only half a game out of the 8th seed. So there's a lot of time to have left. Now, getting to the rotation, I'll let any of you guys answer this one. We saw a little bit of Kendrick Nunn tonight. He didn't look as good as he did in his last couple of games. And we saw a little bit of Gabe Vincent as well. coming back in the guard spot, though, we have Hero and Avery Bradley. Do you guys think that Nunn and Gabe Vincent are going to be able to take some minutes when those guys come back, or are those guys back off to the bench? Anybody?
I think Molana should answer this one because me and Ricky have talked too damn much anyway.
You know how I feel about Spo's rotations currently, so I don't even know how to answer that. I think it's going to take time, and I feel like the smart thing to do would not just bench them right away and call it a day. I think it's going to take time for the guys who have been out to, get acclimated with the team and with the pace of everything now. So I don't think they should be completely, shunned to the bench. I think kind of to go off of that, though, the other problem with this season, aside from obviously COVID, which was impacted by COVID, is not having, the G League. And I think that we've utilized that so much over the last few years that, yeah, a guy like KZ could have maybe been better by now if we had that. Vincent definitely, if that was an option. So I feel like that's also hurting us because we do really depend on our player development and, developing those young guys. There's been kind of a youth movement, ever since Rook 1 and 2 came on with Jay Rich and Justice Winslow. So I feel like that's also hurting us. And I don't think that's a point that people are necessarily realizing because, yeah, putting them in game situations is great because we don't have bodies, but it's not really developing them the same way.
No, that's true. I think, this team, especially under Eric Spoelstra, we have made it a mission to develop players using not just the G League, but Summer League, which we also didn't have this year. I think Miami, and I know, I'm prepared for he's just making an excuse type thing. But, Miami and Los Angeles were the last two teams to play in the NBA. They had the smallest amount of time to rest and recuperate. And some of the key players on this Heat team, such as, say, Kendrick Nunn, who was a big factor for us last season to the point where he made an all-rookie team, was still trying to figure out how to get back from COVID properly. I mean, he was practically unplayable for a while. I think with all of that, factored in many ways, it's kind of like a perfect storm of misfortune, one would say. And look, where we are right now, we already have quite a few things stacked against us. We don't have a LeBron. We don't have an AD. We don't have guys of that extreme caliber on this team. We're a hardworking, middle of the pack team that if you put us in a foxhole with another team, then we could probably out hustle, out fight maybe the other team. But yeah, moving forward, I think it's just, it's very easy for us to be down in the dumps looking at this record, especially after an NBA Finals appearance. But I think what we also need to understand, is we also need to not lose sight of the fact that while I won't necessarily say it was a fluke that we got to the finals last year, it's also not a given that if we came back essentially the same team, we can go and do it again. If you told me the Lakers or even the Clippers were going back to the finals this season with roughly the same roster, I'd believe you. I wouldn't say the same about this Heat roster. That's just reality. I wish it were different, but that's just reality. But again, we always feel this way. It's always doom. After losses like this. But I think that speaks to the high standard that we have for this Heat team. I mean, it doesn't matter if it was the Nets or the Cavs. We would still probably feel some type of way after a loss like this. It's understandable, but again, it's a marathon.
There's a difference. There's a difference between losing to Brooklyn and losing to the Cavs. And I think that's the thing that everybody's trying to lump this one loss thing all into the same category. It's just one loss. I'm sick of hearing that. Because it's just one loss to Brooklyn here, or it's two losses to Brooklyn here. It's a loss to Detroit here. It's a close game with Washington that without Bradley Beal or Russell Westbrook.
Giving up a franchise record to the Bucks in threes.
Giving up to and then giving up career high in threes to other players. It's not just I don't care if people want to call me a negative Nancy or whatever the fuck you were calling me in the comments. I'm just telling you what I see. I hold this team. I have you're absolutely correct. When I'm judging this team based on the standards that I set for them prior to this season, and even without Jimmy, I could understand Jimmy and I can understand Tyler being out if the rest of this team was playing up to a standard that represented themselves well. If they came out here and played like a team with any kind of pride. There are too many instances of this team playing down to its competition and playing without any level of pride. And that is what's pissing me off with this team. It's not the losses. I don't care. I believe we can recruit from losses. But the way that you lose and the way that you win is important. And everybody seems to want to throw that out the window because they're just chalking it up to whatever excuse they want to spit out their ass today.
Well, I think it can be both, can't it? I mean, everything is working against us. Like, it's unrealistic to say otherwise. We did get a really short offseason. We are missing key guys. The whole Tatum comparison, I don't really think that applies. That was one guy. We're out, 5 at this point? And I think obviously Jimmy and Tyler are the biggest ones there, but even losing Bradley, that's really big. And so I think it can be both. I think that we really, things are stacked against us and it's hard, but we're also not playing Miami Heat basketball right now.
And that's what I believe when I separate the losses, that's how I would do it. Mm-hmm. I attribute this loss to the losses to Brooklyn. I attribute that to us not having our full team, so us not being able to see what we could have done in close games like this. I attribute the losses to Detroit to the team not playing up to their standards. That's the difference. People don't believe there's nuance in between the two types of losses, but there is. Some games, there is times where, it's because we lack the talent. And this is a game where you need all of your talent. You need everybody healthy to be competitive in the beginning. So the fact that we're competitive is a good sign, and I am happy about that. But when you lose to inferior teams because you're playing down to your competition, that is a problem. And that has happened too many times with this Heat team to the point where we could have been a 5-win team had we lost that game to Washington.
That's really nothing new with this team either, though. I've been saying this for years. We totally play down. It's not always, and it comes in spurts, but it is a consistent problem, I feel like, no matter who's on the roster.
So I think two things come to mind when I'm, because right now I'm just trying to review the fourth quarter of this game in my head because, we were very clearly outscored, and had we kept some sort of pace with the first 3 quarters, at the very worst, it would have been a really close loss. But here's the thing. So I'm thinking back to, Bam was doing his thing. He was really showing himself to be a legitimate big man, like an all-star caliber, 20 and 10 type guy. They got him the ball a couple times in the fourth quarter, and it appeared to me that Jeff Green seemed to have had him figured out. He wasn't biting on pump fakes, kept his feet planted, and he forced Bam into some tough shots. There's no question that Duncan Robinson missed a lot. I mean, he missed 9 threes tonight. Goran missed a few key free throws. A lot of these things, there we go. A lot of these things add up. When you don't have enough, you will play that well. But unfortunately, you have a guy like, for example, James Harden, who I know a lot of us might think that, we were locking him up in the first 3 quarters, but I saw something else. I saw James Harden that was kind of pacing himself before deciding, KD isn't necessarily having it going. Kyrie might not necessarily be having it going. I'm going to take over and I'm going to do my thing. And we saw that. He pretty much did just that. He was a huge factor in the fourth quarter. And we ended up just losing. And that sucks. It can be frustrating. But moving ahead, because there's only so much we can do with regards to Brooklyn, on Wednesday, we have Denver. On Thursday, just one more day, the Clippers. And on Saturday, the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings right now have the same record as we do. The Nuggets are 9-7, and the Clippers are 13-4.
How many of those games do you see us winning, based on what you've seen?
So I could see us winning.
Aren't guys back on Wednesday though?
Huh?
Aren't guys coming back Wednesday?
Our guys are coming. Our guys are believed to be coming back Wednesday. I could see us winning 1 to 2 out of those 3 games. I don't see us sweeping it.
If we lose all 3 of them, then how would you feel?
Like a fan of a team who's not doing that well this season. Quite frankly, I mean, I'm not gonna get sued.
If we lose to Sacramento, I'm gonna be pissed. I can tell you that now.
Look, I'll tell you this right now. When I was younger, my blood pressure used to rise over regular season losses. Those days are over for me. I can't it's not. Maybe if it in the playoffs, that's when I'm I lock the door. No one talks to me during these games. But in the regular season, I don't know. I'm past that. That used to be me, but not anymore.
What I'm saying is, if we get swept out of those 3 games, then that'll be 5 losses in a row.
Yeah.
And so you're going to tell me that after 5 straight losses, you're going to come back, everything's still hunky dory.
Well, the thing is, I don't
think that to me sounds like somebody who's not doesn't have the wherewithal to pay attention to what's going on. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that offended you or if it sounds disrespectful. That's not what I meant, but you get what I'm saying. I'm saying it just sounds like somebody who's not paying attention.
Well, here's the thing. I am paying attention to this Heat team, but I'm not basing my feelings on a Heat loss. We can talk about the game and everything like that, but yeah, if we have a 5-game winning streak, that's not fun as a Heat fan or as a fan of any team. No fan wants to see their team lose. But the thing is, I'm not gonna come on here furious. No, that's just not how I cope. It's just not me. And I'm not hating on anybody that feels that way. It's good to be passionate about a team. That's part of being a fan. Fan is short for fanatic. I get it. But yeah, if we lose 5 straight, it sucks. But we can't be madder than the players themselves that are losing.
I mean, what do you think Coach Spo and Riley?
Hopefully they'll get out of it.
We lost 6 of our last 8.
I think y'all are confusing my disappointment with. I'm not angry at the team. But it's disappointing to see how they're playing, and I think it's something that hasn't been named enough. It's too. I feel like it's too many fans that are out here summarily dismissing every loss as just another loss, every bad habit that we're building as just another bad habit, or we'll figure it out towards the end. And there are some problems that never get figured out. And I feel like we're on the way to some of those problems if we don't actively try and correct them. And I'm not saying that the team isn't actively trying to correct them, but as fans, we should be realistic about that aspect too. There are areas where our team is bad and we're not being as vocal about them because we're with this optimism. I believe people that are hope traffickers, such as yourself, Ricky, are living more so off of that finals run than I am.
Honestly,
just being honest.
So let me kind of push back on that characterization, because look, I don't consider myself a hope trafficker. I consider myself to be realistic about the situation at hand. I can see the positive in a game or in a situation, but I'm not here telling Heat fans that hey, look, we're gonna win the title this year. I don't think we're a title team. I think I've been pretty. I would like to think I've been pretty objective about that.
You have been.
I'm not trying to get people excited about hope or whatever. If we lose 5, it is what it is.
Can I interject?
Please.
All you.
I think what Royal is trying to say is this team should be 9-7. They lost to the Cavs, or not the Cavs, the Pistons, the Raptors, and the Magic. 9-7 puts you as the 5 seed right now. They're the 13th seed. That's what Royal's saying.
Yeah, I think that's fine if that's what you want to say. But yes, if this team had played up to their capabilities, they would probably be 9-7. I would be happy with a team that plays up to their standard every night. But I have not seen this team play up to their standard enough times, and I feel like that should be named, and that's what I do.
Neither have I. Neither have I. I agree with you. We haven't played to the level that we should have. We've lost games that we should have won. I mean, I think the perfect example of that is that Sixers game when we were up by 5 with I think maybe 15 seconds left, and we were leading for most of that overtime, and we ended up losing. It was frustrating to watch, without question. But hey, it happened. We're not there. We're not playing the way we should be. I mean.
And that's the biggest thing is I mean, definitely whoever said Ricky versus Royal in the comments, that's really what it felt like, because I was like,
no, they trying to put us against each other. That's
I'm not here
a whole other thing.
Life. I'm just sitting back and enjoying the show. Thank you.
We're gonna make it this a fight week on 5 where we're gonna see Ricky and Royal go ahead and go
See,
at
this
it
is
in the
what they want.
octagon
I'm not.
at
Nope.
the end of the week.
on.
But Royal, I didn't really see you smile all day, so I want to ask you something that makes you smile. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Royals.
deodorant?
Ricky said that we didn't have a player like Bam or like LeBron or like AD that we can rely on when we have Jimmy out. How close do you think Bam is to getting to the level of an Anthony Davis or LeBron James? Because he's starting to look like he's creeping up on those guys' tails.
Okay, so I don't think he'll ever reach LeBron James status. I do think he's getting closer. That's just. I think with every game, he learns to pick his spots a little bit better. He learns the times to be aggressive. He learns how to utilize every skill that he has in his toolbox a little bit better. And I think that every game that he gets more reps doing that, like that has been the one positive of Jimmy being out. Like Bam has to be this guy all the time when Jimmy's out. Otherwise, we can't even be competitive. So every game that he has to fulfill that role, every step that he takes in that direction puts him a little bit closer. I mean, with the way that his game is growing, I think in the next 2 to 3 years, you can see Bam being talked about as one of the top, 5-6 players in this league.
Oh, I do have a question.
Well, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I did not hear a thing you said. So I'm going to just pretend like I know what you said. You can go ahead, Ricky. I'll be right back. I'm going to see if it's audio.
Oh, no, it's no worries. So, okay. So here's what I'm curious about, Alana. Like, we missed Mo Harkless tonight. Okay.
Sure did.
Yeah, badly, perhaps. Now, in the coming games, from what I understand, we should be getting him back at some point in the near future. I think he had that little hip issue not too long ago.
Yeah.
How do you think he can help stem the tide of what is happening for this team right now? Because I know KZ's in the lineup and he's been getting minutes and everything like that. But look, we have another guest. Cool.
It was popping in hot tonight, huh?
I'm sorry.
This is what happens when Heat Nation gets upset.
No, I mean, yeah,
everybody wants their take.
Everybody wanted the front row seats to the fight, bro. That's what they wanted.
I have no idea.
Well, that's tomorrow night, guys.
Oh, we got Alex in here.
Wrong show.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, hey, you know what? Actually, I have another question after Alana. How do you think he can, as he gets his rhythm back, help this team with some of the issues that we've been dealing with? Because I believe he was brought in for defensive purposes, right?
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, bodies are bodies. So whether it's defensively or offensively, I mean, as long as he gets going on one of them, I'll take it. I do feel like he was a little bit more confident in his shot too, which is important because before you could tell he definitely wasn't. He was feeling uneasy out there. He was passing a lot, and I feel like he didn't take a lot of open looks. So at least he was getting a little bit more comfortable. It sucks that now he has to come back from something else. But I think if he comes back and, at least one or two other guys come back at the same time, I feel like it'll be a little easier on him.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I do have, this is not quite a follow-up question, but for those of you that were paying attention, this is actually an Ethan related question. So this might be right up your alley, Royal. Right before he signed off, Ethan said that, what have you? Right before he signed off, he said that he would be on something. I'm guessing either a pod or Biscayne Bay Brewery or something along those lines. Huh?
He was not on the pod.
Sources have confirmed Ethan wasn't on the damn pod.
He might have been on something. It wasn't the pod.
Okay, so in that case, what?
Look, man, we'll just leave it up to the commenters to guess.
Okay, there we
I need to play
That's
the worst comments.
See, look, you see Royals laughing again.
That's real Swift here.
You see this? You see this? Royals laughing again. You see that, America?
See, we're all happy. Lose my gig.
Man, it's gonna take quite a bit. Like after I get off here, oh shit, no.
Royal, you know what you gotta do. Give us your side up, man.
No, bro, no. We're Alex in here. I really want to ask Alex where he stands on this. Alex, when you're looking at the team, like where are you with this team? I mean, I understand that tonight wasn't necessarily the worst of losses, but where are you at this team overall?
I I'm in a tough place, man. Like I feel like I was just saying on the podcast, I'm being a fence-sitting pig because like I think this team could be a lot better. I do still believe they can compete with the best teams in the East, and I think that got confirmed with the series with the Raptors, the series with the Nets. I still think that they can compete when they really try. I would like to see a sample of them when they're healthy. But I think we can all kind of agree that they probably need a trade or two. Probably to one more front court player, a 4 that you can confidently play next to Bam. I think that would be really nice for the team. Other than that, I just want to see him healthy, man, because I think, like, I don't want to keep saying it, but we've only seen Jimmy play 4 or 5 games, and I just don't know what to do with that. Like, I think this team was meant to play around Jimmy and Bam, not Bam and Tyler, not Bam and Goran or whatever. And like, I think without Jimmy, we're just seeing kind of like it's a fake season. Like, I love what's going on with Bam's growth. I think it's important. Like, that's the one silver lining. But I just got to see the team healthy, man. Like, I don't know what to do. I really wanted to see how Avery Bradley looked with this rotation, because how bad their guard defense was last year. And we haven't seen that either. Like, I just want to see the rotation healthy. I want to see them make a trade for a 4.
Let me ask you a follow-up question. Do you think we're going to see this team healthy for an extended period of time, or do you feel like this is going to be a recurring issue that happens?
I don't know, man. It's probably I don't know. Like, it's just COVID is such a X factor. Like, you don't know if it's going to strike again for some of these guys. Who knows? Like, some teams have had good luck with it. It seems like a luck factor at this point. Like, maybe if they didn't play that Wizards game that we all knew they shouldn't have played, Jimmy and Avery Bradley wouldn't have been out for 2-3 weeks. But like, this could be a problem all season. That's why I'm not trying to say it like, being healthy is their only issue, because it's not. But I think that's still the biggest one to me. I still want to see them healthy. I want to see how the actual rotation looks with everyone there.
Yeah, I mean, it was really hard, especially since, Kelly Olynyk will give you one game where he does really well, kind of like what Ricky said earlier, and then he'll give you 4 or 5 where he just gives you nothing. Just to tease a little bit to Clutch Corner tomorrow, Adam, do you have anything, or do you see us trying to get any guy to play next to Bam, or what do you have in the pipeline thinking that we might do as far as transactions?
Well, do you want me to be brutally honest about
of course,
this last offseason that we had and the team that we have now? I'll say it once, and I'm not going to repeat it ever again, but I believe that the money that went to Goran Dragic, who's 35 years old and coming off an injury, while emotionally you do that deal. Be
careful.
Speak on it.
Emotionally, you make that deal, right? Mm-hmm. But that is a terrible business decision. You invest that money on Van Fleet.
I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree too.
I don't hate that Van Fleet idea, though.
35 coming off a big injury, and you have a max space. You give that to Van Fleet, not Goran.
Yeah, what's funny about
Leonard.
Yeah.
And Myers. You use the mid-level on somebody who plays.
Would they have been able to pay Fred what he got from Toronto?
No. I think didn't they have bird rights?
No, you could have done it. They had like $30 million.
I don't know if I would have done the
cap holds. Cap holds kept them.
I thought cap holds made sure they had less money. Or you're saying because Goran, no Myers, cap hold?
If you had taken away the cap holds, you would have had max space.
I got you. Okay, I get what you're saying. That's the Fred thing is not a bad idea at all. But man, Goran was so damn good for them in the bubble. Like, they do not get to the finals without him. I think they don't get to the conference finals without him. I know
that's what I'm saying.
I think that's to his point. Like, it was a good emotional decision. Like, it felt good.
But it's a basketball decision too.
No, it's not. That's a terrible business decision.
They need him out there.
That's $18 million.
You got to remember, we did that deal before we went.
$18 million. Is he worth
also
$18
thinking about Giannis
on a 1-year deal? Yeah. Even on a 2-year deal, I would say probably, yeah.
Fred is on a 4-year deal right now. You know what I mean? Are we going to give Fred 4 years?
That's the thing. If he could have matched it, that would have been interesting. I would have liked that. I would have liked Fred VanVleet for this team for sure. But
and it's not just Fred VanVleet. Go on walk after what he did.
Yeah. Well, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. But. Yikes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but heading into the offseason, I remember specifically so many eyes were turned towards the 2021 free agent season. Some were saying that's why we let Jay Crowder go. We didn't agree on the years or something along those lines. We wanted to sign a bunch of guys to 1-year deals, run it back the following year, sign Giannis in the offseason since Bam and Giannis share the same agent. We figured, oh yeah, it's all set up. So there was no way we were going to sign anybody to a long-term deal anyways. So it's like, I mean, I don't see why. I don't see why we would have signed Van Vliet. I probably would have gone in another direction with that. Jeremy Grant, who plays for the Pistons, I did like him based on what I saw from him this season. I think he's averaging like 24 and 9.
Well, and the other thing is, I see a lot of comments of people are saying we wouldn't have made it that far without Dragic. Like, yes, obviously, but that's the past. Yeah. We're talking about the future. He got injured.
Man, Adam, I'm tired of this
year, next year.
I'm tired of this. I think I'm going to be on crutch. Go ahead, Ricky. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm a guy who I'm more against legacy contracts than I am for them. Like, I'm not all about, like, if someone is aging and you're not going to get that kind of production, I wouldn't give multiple years. Like, for example, and this, I know this is going to be blasphemy given the network and everything. Back in 2016 or even back in 2014, after that finals, I wouldn't have thrown 15 million at number 3.
Oh my God!
I wouldn't have.
Be gone with them.
2016. I understand. Like, granted, that got messy and everything, but no, I wouldn't.
Thank you, Clutch. Oh, you know what happens when people say shit like that? Get him out.
I wouldn't have.
You go and
He's like Uncle
out.
Phil. Uncle Phil out here throwing Jeffrey out the door.
It got him. No, it got us, Jimmy. It got us, Jimmy.
Yeah.
All the commentators want him off.
Yeah.
In the long run, yes.
That might be the wildest take yet, honestly.
Yeah.
That is.
No, look, that's playing. Look, that's playing the result, But hey,
it's playing 2K. Is what it is. I'm tired of this, man. Between you and Adam talking about Goran and Dwayne, I'm getting fed up. No, I'm
attacking all the Heat lifers.
Damn,
I mean, you can't sell like what the commenter said. How are you going to sell all this Heat culture, family shit, and then be like, "Well, we think
that's what I'm saying."
Emotions
aside, right?
Fuck emotions. He's on a 1-year deal. Listen,
Here y'all go with the shits, bro. Like, we was having a nice regular post game show, kind of.
This was regular. Fucking rumble going down.
Listen, bro.
I wanted to see the fight.
I mean, of course, everybody. That's why there's 6 people in here.
That's exactly why.
I guess.
I'm playing 2K, man. I'm fed up.
Alex Toledo, everyone. They say Clutch and Ricky would have released UD. I wish y'all would have.
No, I mean he's getting a minimum deal.
Yeah, UD is harmless.
Yeah, like he's there for UD is there for as long as he wants to be there. I wouldn't have let UD go, but I mean there were times when Denver was offering him a lot of money. No. Well, here's the thing. You see, that's a little different. I think we're taking a take and then assuming it means something else. I wouldn't have given that much money. All right. Would I have wanted him to stay here? Of course.
Would you have paid Udonis 17 million?
17 million. When? What, in 2016?
I'm saying whenever Dwayne that contract that you're saying no to Dwayne for, would you give it to Udonis?
Oh God, no. I mean, after the foot injury in 2011, he wasn't the same player.
You gotta kick him out again, bro.
But the intangibles.
What intangibles?
We gave D-Wade. We gave D-Wade the short end of the stick as far as the Bosh and LeBron deal. So that was kind of like repaying him what we kind of owed him as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it would really, I understand emotionally, but when a guy gives up for you business-wise, you got to kind of have a little bit of lean and take with a guy who's willing to play with you like that. Somebody who gave up some money for you to get that big 3, for you to get 2 championships. I'm paying the guy his dues when that deal is done.
They gave Hassan Wade money.
They decided to come here.
They gave Tyler Johnson Wade's money.
No, Brooklyn gave Tyler Johnson Wade money, and the Heat matched.
Okay, so Mickey Harrison gave Tyler Johnson Wade's money.
They decided. The 3 of them decided to come down here. I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh well, Wade sacrificed. They knew what the business was going to be. They've been planning this for years. Like they knew what they were doing. This wasn't. Oh God. Oh, these takes. I love it. I mean, isn't that for
by
that?
firing Andy Ellsberg though?
I'm just gonna say I'm really happy Leif's not here.
Wow.
Because
Listen.
he would have killed us for saying something.
Oh, yes,
today.
indeed. The boy Lefty Leif, he would have had you and Ricky for breakfast out here talking about you shouldn't have. Wait, look at this man. Thank you. Yeah, Wade the GOAT. Jonathan, you should be taking control of your show. You've been doing a wonderful job.
I mean,
hosting.
that's fine. This is the point. The whole point of it is to let everybody let this steam out at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like if we take a loss,
I'm
like,
chilling.
we already talked serious. We brought everything up, and we got to have some time where we just letting steam out. We saw Ricky and Royal go on it. We're gonna have the second fight go down in 2 days. You know what I mean? So we had a good show so far.
At least spell the word right.
I was gonna say you can't throw shade if you can't spell. Come on now.
Oh Lord, allowed?
Jonathan said at the end of the day.
Allowed.
Alex, you mean at the end of the day? Let's wrap this up.
At the end of the day, Kendrick Nunn is still bad.
Damn.
Also, your 3 days aren't up, Alex. You got to put that.
Oh, yes, they are.
No, they're
Yes,
not.
they are.
Put that back up as your profile picture.
Yeah, I had that ABI for 3 days.
It is
Did you
hilarious.
lose a
by the way.
bet or something?
That's, by the way, that picture that is of me tonight watching Kendrick Nunn play.
In the fourth quarter. Why?
Yeah, 100%. That fourth quarter, man. I don't know if you guys talked about it already. Go, holy shit, man! Like, just the blueprint on how to collapse in a game versus the some of the best players in the league. Leave Kevin Durant wide open and help off of him. Why don't you?
I agree.
Like, oh my god!
We were playing a zone when Gabe Vincent would end up on Kevin Durant. Like,
switching Goran onto Harden purposely.
Yeah,
what?
that'll end well.
Somebody said what's going on with KZ. Somebody said what's going on. I'm sorry to cut you up, but somebody said what's going on with KZ. KZ was actually playing really well. I think a few of those times, like those early fouls that he picked up, like a lot of them were kind of iffy calls, like when DeAndre Jordan hooked him and they gave KZ the foul. So he got a lot of cheap fouls. They kind of impacted the number of minutes, but I think he was solid all night long.
Can KZ guard up?
Huh?
I'm starting to think KZ can guard up a little bit. And if
too.
Sure. And if so, why don't we get some minutes at the 4, man? I like that he got minutes tonight.
Yep.
I think he did.
I got choices here.
Yeah, I think he did well against Giannis when he played the Bucks. I mean, but the thing is, compared to what we saw, in the preseason that had everybody, up in a tiff, if that's even still a phrase. We've got KZ basically as a standstill shooter on the corners. I mean, that's his role on offense right now. He can do a little more. I'm interested in seeing how Spo plans on using him, because I remember his coach saying, I'm sorry?
My bad. He's just too hesitant. Like, I wish KZ would try to do something with the ball a little bit instead of just trying to, either take the 3 or fake it and pass.
But Alex, when you're starting in the corner.
Yeah, that's the role. That's the role that they put him in.
When you're starting in the corner, you don't have much room to do anything else.
Hey man, drive baseline once or twice.
I think KZ's just trying to fit in. Like he gives me like he's not trying to fuck up on offense, and that's kind of like why he's not being as aggressive. But I think he should, look at the basket one time, do some shit Spo told you not to do.
Yeah, well,
make him pay for it. He has a little bit more offensive variety. So as long as he's not trying to get in the way of the ball handler, he can try back cuts. You know what I mean? If you're sitting in the corner, go for a back cut, do something like that. So at least, your defender has to keep an eye on you, and you're doing a little bit more than just standing in the corner. But, like you guys were saying, maybe he's just trying to fit in the offense right now. But get to the resident Heat, trade everybody. As far as the return on our investment and go when it gets to our kids, do you feel like this was the best defensive game from KZ, Adam?
Absolutely. It was a great game from him defensively. He just needs to put the offensive package together and figure it out. But I think overall, he just needs reps. Give him a few more games, I think, with Mo Harkless out. Sorry, Milano. But eventually, he'll figure it out. And I think that the more reps he gets, the more trust that Spo puts into him. I think there was a time where he had 3 fouls or 4 fouls in the game, and Spo kept him in. I think it was in the third quarter, right?
Yeah.
Any other game, I bet you that Spo would have just yanked him right there. So
it was after that fight I was talking about.
Right, that's already improvement. So
Well, we're hitting on an hour on the show. You know what I mean? Was there any final takes that you guys wanted to head in? We lost tonight. You know, obviously we did see a little bit of growth from Bam, which is nice to see. We saw him, you know, get that block and then go down and chase Duncan Robinson's miss. He had that really nice third quarter buzzer beater from 3. So regardless of it being a loss, we get another shot at the game on Wednesday against Denver. Of course, we're going to have a pregame show right here. We're going to have a postgame show right here. We're going to want you guys to keep it locked on right here on 5 Reasons. We also have a fight week on 5 on Thursday. It's going to be before the pregame show with everything going out with your combat sports with me and Alf this weekend. We have Clutch Corner tomorrow with Adam and the whole crew. Adam, you want to give that a little shout out?
Yeah, so Clutch Corner tomorrow at 8. We're going to have Alex Toledo tomorrow. We're going to have Royal half the time. We're going to have Milana, and we're going to have Michael Christian, who actually just started his own show. It's called Game Night on Onside Radio.
That's going to be an interesting listen.
Awesome. So we want to thank you guys. We want to thank Alex. We want to thank Adam. Thank Milana. We want to thank Ricky. We want to thank Royal. Everybody for having the fight go down. We want to, everybody trading the kids. But thank you guys for checking out 5 Reasons Sports, and we'll check you guys out next week, next game.